For Best Music Coach, my name is Dan, and you are watching a guitar teacher's live reaction in real time to the OMORI original soundtrack, part 3. Now, I have never, not once ever, never heard this music before in my life. So from time to time, I will pause in between songs and give you my reaction, my thoughts, and sometimes some little music theory tidbits and breakdowns during this live reaction. Hey, chat. How's it going? We are live. Let's get this thing rocking and rolling. Please click like, subscribe, hit that little notification bell. You can also support this channel by becoming a member. And check out our #1 best-selling books in the comments below, as well as our amazing music lessons. First lesson is 50% off. And lastly but not leastly, please let me know in the comments what you thought about this reaction, what you thought about this OST, and what you would like to see me react to next. I do read all the comments. Now, with no further ado, let's get this thing rocking and rolling with Undertow. I feel like this is continuing the water theme we left off with from part 2. Ooh, little distortion now in overdrive, bit clipper. Listen to the evolution. It's building now. Very interesting piece of music. I don't know too much what to make of it. I do want to bring up one thing I saw in the chat. Someone said, oh, these are tetrachords. Okay, that's interesting. So are you defining tetrachords as any chord that has 4 notes? Because technically, a tetrachord would be any group of 4 notes. Tetrachords was how the Greeks basically invented scales. They thought of scales as 2 tetrachords. We also use them now in music theory for dissecting and understanding. It's especially useful for when you get to, like, for example, differentiating between natural minor, harmonic minor, melodic minor scales. You can say, okay, there's a minor pentachord for the first 5 notes, and then you define perhaps a major tetrachord for melodic minor, a harmonic tetrachord for harmonic minor being the half step augmented second half step, or half step, whole step plus half step to keep my language units consistent. And then for natural minor, having the natural minor tetrachord. So just a point on that, and let's keep this thing going. This is called white space. Oh, I think we heard this before in part 2. It was like that stuttering, stopping piano thing. Verify if that's correct, chat, please. Chat has verified. Thank you, chat. Fermentation Disorientation. Listen to that really long synth. Okay, so there's one really interesting. There was a lot of interesting synths in that, but there was one that was especially interesting. It started off by going wee, then it went ra. Go back and listen to this again. You can hear every single time, because like there's music and then it stops. There's silence and the music stops. Every time there's music, the wee starts again, and the whole synth just goes wee. It's a wild sound. All right, let's keep this thing going. This next one is called Flowering with You? Flowering with You. Ooh, listen to the panning on that drum fill. Let's keep it going with BREADY, Steady Go. Maybe an oud being played now? Could also be a nylon string acoustic. So what we just heard there in that accordion was a similar thing to a chord progression we heard a lot in part 2. That is clipping like crazy. How about some clip distortion? Okay, so what was really interesting about this tune was a couple things. Number one, the way it started had this really sort of off-kilter feel to it, where it's like the drums weren't quite lined up with everything else. It sort of had this very unstable, like, getting the machine going sort of thing. And then, it goes double time, it's rocking and rolling, almost this jazz manouche kind of style. Manouche would be like from the Django Reinhardt, the gypsy jazz sort of school. Very interesting use of some sound on 2 and 4. While we're listening, that sort of sounded like, someone yelling, ah. Very interesting piece of music. Let's keep this thing rocking and rolling. This next one is called Recycling Really Is a Concept. I love the little crackly sound. Almost feels like it's in your brain from where it's positioned. So chat, I wouldn't necessarily call this a reggaeton beat. I wouldn't necessarily call it a house beat either. You could use this type of beat in-house. Reggaeton would be as the basic beat, and then obviously you can fill and do different things around it. But that really is the classic reggaeton feel. This was honestly just a really interesting and pretty unique piece of music. Obviously something can't be pretty unique. It either is unique or it's not. It's a unique piece of music. Let's keep this thing rocking and rolling with Remember to Be Patient. Ooh. So the first thing I want to talk about here is the use of these out of tune instruments. Yeah, they are technically out of tune when you look at standard tuning. But what was really interesting was to hear that every once in a while there was a particular note that was in that sort of lead piano part that was, I guess, had the chorus or whatever effect to detune it. You had this doubling thing where you had the in-tune piano part, and then every once in a while there were these sort of accents of untuned notes along with the piano part that was in tune, which created these really interesting moments of not instability, but of different textures. And then on top of that, the whole underlying thing had this in-tune part of it and this out-of-tune part of it. And then in the second part of the song, that really tasteful, what sounded to me like a bass solo came in. Really interesting piece of music. Let's keep this rocking and rolling with Cold. This next one is called You Cannot Go Back. Ooh. Listen on the left side. Those knocking sounds. Oh, cool. What time signature is this? Sounds like 4/4 to me. Interesting use of detuning again here. Very holiday-ish. Now I remember that synth from Undertow. Don't know the name of it. Yeah, this synth right here. So, what I want to talk to you guys is about the saying four on the floor. Now, when we say four on the floor, that means we are in 4/4 time. But it's a specific thing that was started. The song was The Love I Lost, perhaps by the OJs, if I remember correctly. Can someone please fact check me on that? And it started off as sort of this disco thing where instead of playing the kick drum on beats 1 and 3, so in 4/4 we have strongest, weak, strong, weakest. And typically you'd have, in the most basic terms, you'd have kick drum, snare drum, kick drum, snare drum. Instead of alternating, you'd have kick, 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 kick on all four, with the snare still coming in on 2 and 4 to give that feeling of the weak beats. Now, what we can hear in this song, in a lot of dance music, is that you have four on the floor. And what four on the floor means is that the kick drum is hitting 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you can also use the term four on the floor for other instruments to just mean really emphasize those quarter notes. Ba, 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 ba. Chat, did someone fact check me on The Love I Lost, OJs? All right, we're going on to Tee-hee Time. Oh yes, double bass. Ah. Oh, love it. Okay, my two favorite things that happened in that song. Number one were those brrr, those like sort of double kick drum. So typically in metal and other sort of metal related genres, the drummer can have two pedals to hit the kick drum with. And that means you can go grrr, 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 just on the kick drum, and we were hearing some of that in this, which was so cool. And then number two was right at the end, those little sounds doing that little stuttery thing was so much fun. Let's keep this thing going with Welcome Again. So again, in this piece, we heard a use of out of tune, and again, I'm using the term out of tune in relation to our standard 12 note tuning. Very interesting to create this sort of melodic. It almost sounded like you're hitting buckets. It's like making music hitting buckets. It might have been more of like a gamelan style patch, or maybe just a metallic patch there. But very interesting. Let's keep this rocking with Fleur, or Fleur, I should say. Really interesting. So first of all, thank you, chat, for fact-checking me on the OJs. Looks like we're good there. What's interesting to hear in this piece of music, and what I want to bring you guys' attention to, is how I can tell when something is being played backwards or it's being made to sound as if it's being played backwards. So what happens is when you record a sound or you make a sound, you go, ah. And what happened is there was an attack, where it sounded loud, and then it sustained, and then it released, and then it went away. What happens is if you flip that around, it's something like this, wah, wah, because it's going backwards and forwards. And so when we hear sounds that sound like this, wah, wah, and you hear that quality, that's how you'll know that it's actually flipped around backwards. And quick super chat here. Thank you so much, Rainbach Holmes, for your support and the super chat. Love your content. Keep it going. Do intend to bring back some videos to your main channel in the future. And by the way, don't sleep on Sonic Mania. It is a banger. Oh yeah, we will not sleep on Sonic Mania for sure. I think we've got the reactions rocking and rolling here with the guitar. We'll see if there's some use for those over on Best Music Coach, which is another channel you guys can go check out on YouTube. Best Music Coach. There's some cool stuff up there. This next one is called Distance. Interesting. This next one's called Drone. Okay, so let's talk about drones. In music, there's in life there's two types of drones. In music, there's one type of drone. So a drone in music is a sustained pitch. That's only one pitch, and it's sustained for generally a long period of time. Like we heard here. Just going on and on and on, which, yes, chat, does indeed sound like a mosquito. But in music, whenever we have one sound like that, that's a pitch that just goes on and on, we call that a drone. Now, what is ironic is that if you've ever flown a drone, they also make a drone sound, which is sort of like a mosquito. So drones, drone, and now we can get back to it with our next one, calm. Do that? Boom, boom. That was a drone right there at the end. This next one is called Glade. Really sounds like someone's moving furniture. Really fascinating. Sample in there. Yeah, it sounds like someone's moving furniture, and that's what's being used. Huh. Yeah, so what do I mean by moving furniture? What I mean is if you've ever been in a room below where someone's moving or someone's moving furniture in the house, what you hear is a I can't even do it. I'd have to move a piece of furniture for you to hear it. Point is, you hear this really low end noise of a piece of furniture being pushed and someone putting their hands on it, which is pretty much what we heard there. So my theory is how they made that is they got a mic in a room and they put their hands on something and pushed it, and that's how they sampled the sound. This next one is called 56-12-2. Oh, love the build of this. Yeah, it's going in cycles of 5. Whether it's 5-4, 5-8, not sure. So let's pause here a moment because that was an interesting question. The chat asked, okay, is this 5-4? Well, okay. When we hear time signatures by ear, unless it's something that's really common, like a 3-4, a 4-4, a 12-8, or a 6-8, or a 9-8, it's really difficult to determine correctly what the lowest number of the time signature is. And sometimes that's down to the composer and the composer's intention. For example, to hear the difference between 4-4, 2-2, and 2-4, while it can be obvious at times because different beats get different stresses, or for example, in 2-4, you essentially just have strongest and weakest, as opposed to that feeling of 4 all the time. Determining whether that was 5-8 or 5-4, we'd have to ask the person who wrote it. The person who wrote it might not even have cared whether it was 5-4 or 5-8. They might have just said, listen, it's going to be in groups of 5, and here's what it is. Let's keep it going with Bloom. Interesting, sounds like a tabla in there. Yeah, tabla, definitely. No, those are definitely tablas, not bongos. There may also be bongos in there. Maybe murdung. So when I say tabla, tabla is a Indian classical music instrument that is used to this day, which is rock and roll. The murdung is also Indian classical drum percussion instrument. You can check out the tabla player Zakir Hussain. He is the tip of the top. He's absolutely incredible, an absolutely insane musician, master of the instrument. Let's keep it going with August/Water. Okay, so while that last song was playing, I put up a poll in the chat saying, okay, these sounds are backwards, yes or no. For those of you who answered no, I'm with you. For those of you who answered yes, here's why I think they're not. Because there wasn't that distinctive almost sounds like you're swallowing the sound back in. It just sounded like the attack, or how quickly the sound goes from 0 to something you could hear, was a little long. So instead of attack being, for example, when I'm speaking with you, the attack is fairly immediate. I say, hi. And as soon as you, hi. So the only thing that leads up to it is the little sound of the breath before the H sound, and then the I occurs. And so what happens is sometimes you can, the attack comes in and then see, that was a very slow attack coming in. So for me, that synth just had a slow attack. It wasn't, in fact, backwards. Very fun ear exercise. This next one, oh, by the way, chat, don't worry if you get it wrong. Life is about making mistakes and learning from them. There's no judgment here, no harshness. We're just here to learn and have fun. Getting it wrong is okay. The next one is fifths. Not sure what instrument's playing here. Possibly a banjo. Sounds to me like a banjo. So it's a stringed instrument with some kind of resonator. It's not a violin, unless it's mixed in a special way. It's not a viola. Okay, so how do I know that this is not violin unless they've done something special to the sound and I know it's a banjo or some type of stringed instrument with a membrane or metal resonator? It's because on the very end of the sounds you can hear the metallic ring, the resonance that is specific to metal objects as opposed to wood, which has a much warmer, rounder sound. This next one is called Waiting For. Oh, love this. Left ear, right ear, left ear, both, left, right. Man, you know what I really would have loved to hear? I would love to hear some sick drums coming right there. Anyway, this next one is called Nawa. That background noise sounds like it's backwards. This one, it's called White Pillars. You guys hear the drone in your right earphone? It's very quiet. That drone's still going in the right ear. Come and see. Very interesting piece of guitar work there. So, number one, the way the guitarist is playing is very mysterious. It's very introspective. And again, this is my opinion. What I think is interesting is that there's almost this country feel. Unka, unka, and then for like 10 seconds, it actually went into a finger style pattern that you would hear in country or folk music. But that there was this almost Eastern European flair to the way the harmony was being used. And on top of that, the feeling of the sort of quasi-rubato way of playing where it's this speed up, this slow down, this speed up, this slow down. It's almost like a breathing within the music. Almost feels like classical. So a very, very interesting piece of music. Let's check out the next one. This one is called Friends with a period. All right, so that little whistle sound right here. Does anyone know the name of that synth? Because we heard that in Undertow as well. Whoa. Emmy Moon from the chat says it's originally from Earthbound. Interesting. Playing with time there. Oh. So what's it called? Friends. Orchard. So typically when piano players play, you have the left hand and the right hand, and they can do separate things, they can copy each other. What we can hear in this example of For Friends with a whole bunch of S's is that we have this arpeggiation, the bong gong 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 gong, happening in the left hand. And the right hand's playing this melody. But what's very interesting for me is to hear that the left hand is this sort of rounded sound where there's not as much high end. So the sound is warmer, it's rounder, and there's some reverb on it. Whereas the right hand has more high end, it actually had a little delay on it in addition to the reverb. So changing those different sounds for the right and the left hand is a very interesting approach. This next one is called Temple. Interesting time skip there. It did it in the last song too. Like it ate at 8th note or something. This is called Look. Reminds me of monster sounds like Godzilla. Huh. Next one is called Bad Morning. This one is called Listening. Love it. If you guys are listening to this on your phones, try and get some earbuds in because the phones are not going to give you that low end. Okay, we had a question in Super Chat. Jamie, or Jamie with 2 M's, asked, one of the last songs in the OST has a version on YouTube where Bowen, one of the composers of the soundtrack, and the dev team sing the lyrics. Would you consider adding that on the end? Absolutely. Could you guys please throw that link in the chat, and I will do my best to get that set up while we're also doing this. And we'll rock and roll with that. That'll be a fun way to end this out. Okay, this next one is called A Red Shape. Oh, and Jamie, thank you so much for your support, and thank you for that super chat. Let's get this thing rocking and rolling with A Red Shape. And this sort of, bit crusher style distortion on the end there. This one is called Do You Remember? This is called Playing Forever. Very interesting instrumentation, very interesting arrangement. The sound that was used for the pa pa, the 1 2 3, very not a music box, but a very interesting patch indeed. This next one is called Treehouse. Here we are again. Here we are together again. Excuse me. So someone in the chat made an interesting comment. They said, okay, this does sound like 3/4. Yes, correct. And they said, but a beat is missing. Okay, so is a beat missing if there's silence there, or is the beat there represented by the same duration of silence as the beat itself occupies? So I would argue that we can hear this in 3/4. I do argue as well that there are 3 beats in each measure, and I don't think the third beat is missing. No, not 4/4 with a rest, chat. It is 3/4. Om 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 om. We have 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, and so it is still in 3/4. You don't have to have an instrument playing on every beat for there to be 3/4. We just have 1 beat of silence with essentially a quarter rest on it. 3/4 with a rest. Exactly right, chat. Okay, let's get this thing rocking and rolling with the next one. This is called Save. This is called something. What was very interesting to me in this last one was that you had essentially, we can think of it as two musical entities, and they're both being brought down and up in pitch. So they're sounding higher, sounding lower, not louder and quieter, but literally higher, lower. Now, I think what was very interesting is that you would have these moments where one would come up almost like a half step, the other one would be behind, then they come together, they'd be in unison, and you had this continual dance between this almost a minor second away from each other, and at times quite possibly a minor second away from each other. And chat, you're distracting me with your trolling, but that's really funny. And and then when it's unison together, and that does create a very creepy feeling. All right, chat, here we go. All right, I looked behind me. All right, let's keep this going with A Home for Flowers, Daisy. Beautiful. That was a really beautiful piece of music for a couple reasons. So, number one, it's interesting that we've almost had this thematic element. Well, not thematic element. I'm not quite sure what the correct word to use here would be, but we've had this continuous use of this, what sounds to be like a chorus effect. Now, a chorus effect has many different uses. It sounds, and I could be wrong, they might also just have a doubled version of this that's slightly detuned, which you can use with a pitch shifter or any sort of pitch plugin. But it sounds to me like they're using this chorus throughout this soundtrack to give this feeling of... It's almost like you're a little crazy. It's almost like whenever you're in a movie and someone's trying to show through music that someone's like going a little insane, sometimes using those detuned elements with those intuned elements almost implies a cognitive dissonance or the detachment from reality that one might be experiencing in that state. Let's go with Ramina. Again, this also to me feels like a mentally unstable place. And I think what's interesting about that piece too is that if you took that one instrument, or that's the last sound I heard. Anyway, where there was that little sort of, it almost sounded like a mosquito coming by your ear sound. Had you taken that out and the other atmospheric elements out, that piece would almost have sounded whimsical. It almost would have sounded innocent to me. But once you add that extra layer in, it gets this whole nother layer of complexity, of dimension. And again, coming back to that feeling of just a little bit of insanity is what it sounds like. This next one is called Normal with a period. This one is called Your Catastrophes. Almost feels like a room's filling up with water. Your Catastrophes Procession. Very somber. Crossroads. Beautiful. beautiful. This one's called the Violin. A Home for Flowers, Sunflower. That was really beautiful. I thought the way that the synths were crafted together, that lower sound and that higher sound, it's reminiscent of playing the piano left hand, right hand. But just the quality of the sounds was very beautiful, very tasteful. Love the warm, round sound of that lower part. And just a quick shout out to chat. We do have that bow end singing version of the last song queued up, ready to go. We may need to do a quick sound check, but make sure y'all hang out for the end of the stream because we're all going to listen to it together. Then this next one is called You Must Carry On. Similar chord progression we heard a lot in number 2, part 2. Or Zelda strings. This next one is called Remembrance. Next one. Not the next one, the next one. This is called OMORI. Oh. Love it. Yes, bring in those low strings. Oh, let's go. Now filling it in with a synth, the low end. Oh, I love that dissonance. Oh, wow. Are those sounds now starting to build? That was an incredible piece of music for a couple of reasons. Number one, you can hear, I know I see in chat you guys are saying things like heartbreak, but you can hear in the music that this is a really sad, heartbreaking moment. Like, the emotion is of someone who is just sobbing and crying with sadness. But beyond that, there's those deep instruments there almost give us this feeling of it's like a fate or a destiny or something inevitable that the bass is pushing those strings towards, and it's this feeling of this undeniable current towards something with all of this sadness and emotion to it. Let's keep going. This is called Altar. That almost had a feeling of violence to it, and anger. Passion, maybe. This next one is called Try Again, Little Brother. The next song is called Preserve. This is called Duet. Ooh, beautiful. Oh. That was incredible. Such an emotional piece. I'm not even going to bother putting words to that. Let's just enjoy that experience. That's amazing. This next one is called Gone. This is called Wake Up. This is called Clean Slate. This is called The Truth. This is called Good Morning. So what's interesting is the melody for that song almost sounded like there were words or something, lyrics. Because typically when you write an instrumental melody, you're not going to follow those same sort of ba, bump, ba, goo, ga, ga, boom, ba, dee, da, ga. Sometimes you can. I'm not saying you don't. But it just sounds to me like maybe it sounds lyrical to me, is what I'm trying to say. This next one is called My Time. Close. That was a wild trip. That was just wild. That's the first vocals we've heard this entire soundtrack, and just I don't even know what to do with that. It starts off as one thing, it goes to another thing, and then it goes to another thing, and that was just a wild sort of, it reminds me of like Bohemian Rhapsody in the sense that it's like taking a modern genre and doing it with this sort of operatic form. Very interesting. This is our last song from the OST called Fin or Fin. Interesting. So hang out a moment here because I'm going to wrap this up, but we're going to have a bonus song after my plugs. If you like this video, please go ahead, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can check out our #1 best-selling books in the description below, as well as our incredible music lessons. First music lesson is half off. You can also support this channel by becoming a member. Members, I always respond to comments. Take your comments under advisement and use your suggestions to improve the channel. Now, that being said, all right, chat, I'm going to need you here on this sound check. I need you to let me know whether you can hear what I'm playing right now. Give me a #1 in the chat. Type a #1 in the chat if you could hear the music just then that I was playing. You could hear it, you could not hear it. Can you hear this now? Mic check, mic check. How about now? Alright, that should do it. That should do it. Okay, just double checking that y'all can hear that. Yeah, y'all can hear that now. Alright, here we go. Let's do this. This is our bonus Thanks to Jamie and their super chat. Everyone, please say a big thank you to Jamie for that generous super chat, because now we're here doing this extra bonus video. So this is Bowen and the Omori team saying good morning. Omori, stop AAPI hate live stream. That's a good cause. All right, let's go and check this out.
One more day, the sun reaches my bed. One more day to spend alone again. Morning starts without me. I seem to find it hard to wake up. Steadily, my thoughts take hold of me. It's hard to stay awake or fall asleep. Memories of the past, both the good and the bad, overwhelm me. There's so much I wish I could take back. Sometimes I think maybe it's too late. Though the pain remains, and though it may be hard, I'll carry on. Time to rise and shine. Good morning. So the sun reaches my bed. One more day to spend alone again. Morning starts without me. I seem to find it.
That was beautiful. That was a lot of fun. Thank you, Jamie, for recommending that. And we have a super chat. Oh, Rainbach Holmes, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your support of this channel. Thank you to our super chatters today, including Rainbach Holmes and Jamie. Thank you all so much for watching the stream. Please hit like, subscribe, the notification bell. You can support this channel by becoming a member. Cool badges and emotes that you get to use. You can also check out our #1 best-selling books in the description below, as well as 50% off your first music lesson at bestmusiccoach.com. That's all in the description there below. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been quite a wild ride doing this 3 parts of Omori. I really appreciate you guys supporting me doing this. And thank you all so much for watching. And I'll see you guys next time.